Hello, everyone. I wanted to welcome you again to another interview of Tom Ufert, which is working with the None of the Above campaign for 2016, going for president. Very interesting campaign, which is asking you to write in to basically say no to any of the candidates that are currently running. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kevin. Glad to be here. Thank you for hosting and moderating. Looking forward to some great questions and considering yesterday's results in New Hampshire and last week's results in Iowa, I think we're off to a rip-rolling campaign.
Certainly, there's a lot of very, what shall we say, high-end personalities involved right now from very diametrically opposed positions that are both getting a lot of strength out there.
Agreed. And our campaign is getting ready to release a new video that challenges voters to ask this question. When you see Bernie Sanders' campaign, when you see Donald Trump's campaign, the important question voters need to be asking is, how? Donald Trump says he's going to build the Great Wall on the southern border, and he's going to make the Mexicans pay for it. Not enough people are asking him, how is he going to do that? Bernie Sanders says he's going to give away free college education to state universities for every young person in America. People need to ask, how is he going to do that? Donald Trump says he's going to make America great again. People need to ask, how is he going to do that again? Bernie Sanders has all of these plans for doing one, expanding Medicare for all. And though these are wonderful ideas, and I admire their challenges to the establishment, the real question that needs to be raised is, how are they going to do it? How are they going to pay for it? And are they just filling people with a great deal of enthusiasm and building up their hopes and spirits that are going to, in the end, be dashed? And if that's the case, then I say vote for none of the above.
Yes, which brings up the topic, of course, for why do you think that America really needs the None of the Above campaign right now?
I think that the angst that these two particular candidates are tapping into, dissatisfaction with everything government and politics, the worst ratings that Congress has had in our lifetime, the fact that neither political party seems to be addressing the concerns and issues of the common day, everyday American. These are reasons enough for the American people to have the opportunity to say enough is enough and none of the above. A majority of Americans consider themselves independents. And when you're looking at the millennial generation, they are probably the most nonpartisan generation in American history. If these people truly believe in what they say, and they truly do feel dissatisfied with the endless gridlock, dissatisfaction, endless gridlock and dysfunction by both political parties, then it's time for the American people to rock the boat and send a shockwave by voting none of the above. Our campaign found a loophole in the system. Only one state in the country, Nevada, allows none of the above on the presidential ballot. The other 49 states will not allow none of the above because of partisan control of the electoral process. Of those 49 states, only 44 allow write-in ballots, and of those 44, 6 will allow a write-in ballot without any documentation. So we're in the process of getting on those 44 ballots so that the American people have the opportunity to say we don't want either one of the major parties' nominees. Because when you face the outcry, most Americans say that voting for either Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, or Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, or Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz, or any of the major party potential nominees is like voting for the lesser of two evils. So we say, don't vote for the lesser of two evils. If you want to make your vote count, vote for none of the above.
Now, some people would say that what you're is it really right for you to be taking away votes from able-bodied candidates are going for this?
I would say yes. If these are the able-bodied candidates that we have to choose from, then I would say, then by all means, the American people should have an alternative. And um, I'm not any less legitimate or less reasonable than any of the other candidates. When you consider that three of the major candidates, um, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, Carly Fiorina, and Ben Carson have never had an elected office. I've never had elected office, so what makes me any different from them? When you consider that a majority of the Republican candidates, and in fact, there are over 450 candidates running for president right now, and only only the two major parties are getting any kind of media attention, excuse me, or any kind of recognition by the national polls. So, what makes me any different from the rest of these candidates? The only difference is I have vowed and promised the American people if our campaign wins that I will refuse the office, and thereby giving the American people the opportunity to call for a new election. That is the major difference.
What also brings up, how does it feel to be the candidate with the most dangerous past when it comes to this?
Well, I don't know that my past is the most dangerous. I would say that my past is probably the most open and honest. When you consider Bill Clinton, when he was running for president, admitted that he smoked but didn't inhale marijuana. George W. Bush made the comment that he had done cocaine and then refused to admit it. And any number of times in American history, you've had politicians that have had one dark secret in their past or another, whether it be alcoholism or it be philandering or whatever. The difference is I've been open and honest with my very first book, Adversity Builds Character, and I've been open and honest from the beginning of my announcement. So I would say that that is a major difference between me and the other candidates. Whereas they want to hide secrets of their past, I've been open and honest because I think the American people deserve better. And I challenge any of them to go into my past and find something that I've not admitted to and bring it out, because I have promised the American people I will not lie to them, and I will tell the truth about my past, because those adversities in my past have made me a stronger person and I think a better candidate.
Very good. There's been a lot of conversation about Donald Trump because he's kind of really the big celebrity running for president at the moment on things. How much damage do you think he can really do?
I think he has the potential to do a great deal of damage, not only to the Republican Party brand, but I think he has a great deal of potential to do serious damage to this country, both here at home and abroad. First off, he makes all these wild accusations when people challenge him, whether it be in the press or his political opponents. That does not speak very well for a president of all the people. If he's going to refuse to deal with questions from the press, the fourth estate, or refuse to deal with issues that he doesn't agree with, that does not bode well for a leader of a democratic republic. That sounds more like a dictator to me. And let's face it, Donald Trump has always been first and foremost when it comes to his aspirations. His whole program, The Apprentice, if he didn't like what he heard or didn't think you were up to it, he just said, "You're fired." Well, when you're president of the United States, what's he going to say to Congress? "You're fired"? That's not going to happen. As far as internationally, I think the man will do serious damage to the United States and its prestige as well as its reputation abroad. He wants to carpet bomb the Middle East and take their oil. Um, that is basically what ISIS and other terrorist groups are accusing us of anyway, so he's going to prove them right. And Donald Trump um, says that he can do a better job when dealing with Vladimir Putin or with the supreme leader of Iran or with Kim in North Korea. Well, here's the thing. These three men all have as much money, if not more, than Donald Trump does. And if he sits back and says, well, you know, I've got all this money and I know what I'm doing, and what is he going to say to them? You're fired? I don't think so. We're dealing with a reality TV personality here, not someone that I think is credible enough to be leader of the free world and leader of the most powerful country in the world. I think he may make a great U.S. trade ambassador, or he may make a great Secretary of the Treasury, but or U.S. Secretary of Commerce. But as President of the United States, no. This man is dictatorial in everything he says and does, and that's not what the American people need. They need a real leader, not someone who is going to just thumb his nose when people disagree with him.
Well, many people have said that America is currently in a decline, both economically and on the overall world stage. Why do you think that we're falling behind as a superpower?
I think part of the problem is our education. We have fallen from first to, by many polls, 17th or higher in world education. We are trying to create, excuse me one second, Kevin. I couldn't shut my phone off, so. They couldn't, they're trying to do a pigeonhole, one size fits all kind of education. And the problem is that we've got too many talented people in this country with too many skills where one size fits all. And when you allow the government to sort of cubbyhole people and make a one size fits all education, then we are creating a stagnant populace that is not only uninformed, uneducated, and ill prepared for the 21st century, but we're taking away their ability to be creative and to think outside the box and to question things and be part of this new innovative 21st century. I personally believe that this country is on the verge of a new golden age, but we've got to decide where we want to go. And the major component of that is our education system. Now, I've been blessed with private school education most of my life, not because I'm rich, but because I've been blessed and I've been fortunate. There have been people who've stood behind me and helped me get the right education. Now, I can tell you that my private school education, we were taught to question things. We were taught to think for ourselves. We no longer teach our kids to think for ourselves. And the present education system, after my conversations with numerous teachers in this country, indicate to me that we no longer allow teachers to be educators. They are now test monitors. And that is not what our kids need. They need to be given the ability to learn and expand their horizons, not be pigeonholed into a set curriculum that deprives them of creativity and the ability to think for themselves. So I think education is our number one downfall when it comes to our decline as a major power. When you look at the countries that are challenging us, whether it be India, China, Germany, these are all countries that put education first in their countries and put a great deal of government support behind public-private partnerships for their educational systems. And we're not doing that. We are falling behind the rest of the world. And economically, we are no longer in a industrial age. This is the age of information. And there is no country on earth that can surpass us when it comes to our ability for information technology. But we are quickly seeing that happen because we're not using a smart approach with uh, public-private partnerships. And that has to do with education as well.
Some of the other issues that are really facing America at the moment that are really hot points to everything, of course, we have Obamacare and the whole healthcare crisis that's going on for America. Or where are we going? What's the future of all of that? And particularly when you look at the prices of pharmaceutical drugs has been going through the roof. How can we get control of that? What's going on there?
Well, here's my attitude about Obamacare. I know that a lot of people have problems with it, whether it's because they disagree with the president or they disagree with the way the Democrats railroaded it through Congress. Makes no difference. For the first time in American history, we do have quote unquote universal health care coverage. Now, granted, there are still tens of thousands of Americans who do not have health care coverage. And Obamacare has forced increase in premiums. It has forced a decline in doctors who will accept um, pay for fee services, and that is unacceptable. I think part of that problem was because the Democrats did railroad it through Congress, and they didn't allow for the holes that appeared to be fixed properly in a bipartisan way. My attitude is don't nix Obamacare, fix Obamacare. And there are a multitude of ideas out there, but to completely gut the whole system and start all over is going to put us back for decades, and we can't afford to do that. Now, as far as our pharmaceutical industry is concerned and the rapid rise of um, prescription drug costs, that is unacceptable. We have the best healthcare coverage in the world, but we also pay the highest prices for prescription drugs. Why is that? Part of the problem is that we have an FDA that is politically appointed, and in a lot of cases, they are influenced by the very pharmaceutical industry they're supposed to govern. That's unacceptable. I think Congress needs to step up to the plate and give the FDA the teeth it needs to properly govern, regulate, and restrict the pharmaceutical industry. And we need to get back on the road uh, to research and development that again requires government and a private public partnership. America's R&D budget has declined over the last decade more than any other country in the world. That's unacceptable. And we could cure cancer. We could cure a lot of the diseases that we're having to deal with if we had these public-private partnerships. But if we're going to rely on private pharmaceutical companies to do all the research and development and handle all of this by themselves, they're going to do it strictly for profit. It's going to be for profit only. And that's not what this country's about. And that's going to hurt the average American. And that's going to make medical healthcare costs increase proportionally every year. And that's where the problem is. So government needs to stand up. People need to stand up, and we need to regulate this industry rather than allowing their lobbyists to control career politicians and influence the decisions.
Some of the other problems we have, of course, also comes with where do you stand with all of the thousands of illegals pouring over the border every day? If we're talking about trying to really get a good health care solution, isn't that killing it to a degree?
Well, let's be first off, I challenge anyone to show me accurate statistics that show thousands of illegals are pouring across the border. Okay. Now, one of our town halls earlier this year, I had a lady from El Paso that said, if you don't believe it, come down to El Paso and I'll show you. And I said, I need to do that. Unfortunately, due to limited transportation abilities, I've not been able to get down to El Paso and see it for myself. Here's my point. Um, Regardless of whether you believe one side or the other as far as the number of illegal aliens coming across the country, the border, the fact is simple. Our immigration and refugee situation is completely broken. Congress has not updated its quotas in 2, if not 3 decades. We have a broken immigration system that allows employers here in the United States to hire illegal aliens and pay them under the table, pay them wages lower than they would have to pay if they had a worker visa program. And that's the reason I support the e-verify system for employers. And if an employer hires an illegal alien, they are fined and sent to jail. Simple as that. Now, there is one proposal that I do support called a pay for visa program, which is if an employer wants to hire an illegal alien because they need the type of skills that they offer, then the employer pays the fee for the visa and they get a worker visa and they work for legitimate wages, and the employer is responsible for making sure that all of their paperwork is kept up to date. That's the biggest problem with illegal immigration, is that people come across the border into our country because we have jobs that they want. And if you've got employers who are illegally hiring them and aren't regulated and restricted and judicially held responsible, then it's going to continue. The other problem is when you look at the fact that America has 60 different visas to get into this country. That's ridiculous. I don't know of any other country that has that many visas to get into the country. And 2 visas in particular, H-1A, H-1B. One deals with agriculture and one deals with technical skills. These quotas for those have not been upgraded. And when you look at the fact that there is no verification system for student visas coming in, that someone comes in a student visa, they do not have to report regularly, and they are not verified on a regular basis. This is one of the reasons that people are concerned about terrorists. And I understand that completely. But we've got to fix the system here at home. And Donald Trump's allegation that he can just build a wall is going to stop it is ludicrous. Anyone who believes that hasn't been down to the southern border. You've not seen the topography of what it takes to build the wall. And even if Donald Trump is able to build a wall, my question is, how is he going to pay for it? And the fact that he says, oh, we're going to make Mexico pay for it, he has not given any statistics whatsoever to show how he's going to do that. So the American people need to wake up and listen to the reality of these populist claims for politicians who just want to get elected, and use their brains and come up with real solutions. And that's what we're proposing. Take a fresh start with No to 2016 so that the American people can force the government to come up with answers and use local communities and local citizens to help them do that.
And also of a concern to everyone with that, with potential illegals coming in, and is the number of jobs that are particularly being taken away at a time when people, even though the numbers have all been saying our unemployment at the moment is gone down to record levels for the last decade, there are still a growing number of homeless people that have been showing up in more and more American cities. What can we do on those problems?
Well, the homeless problem I'm very concerned about is the fact that the 2 majority categories of homeless people in this country are veterans and LGBTQ individuals. When you consider that these 2 particular demographic blocks compose over 65%, if not 70%, of homeless people in this country, it demonstrates that America's priorities are screwed up. We will cross the street or turn a blind eye to someone who is homeless because we don't want to deal with it. Now, I have some very good friends on the West Coast in Oregon and Washington State that are on local community boards, and they deal with this on a daily and weekly basis. Citizens can join community boards. There are citizen participation for this. Part of the problem is that we're not utilizing our resources properly to address the homeless issue. We're not getting corporations to jump in to the battle against homelessness, because corporations are allowed to stockpile their profits overseas, which is one of the reasons we proposed a very extensive corporate tax reform that rewards companies for repatriating their dollars and their jobs back here in the States. There are several programs like the one in Florida. There's another one in North Carolina. There's another one in Ohio, another one in Massachusetts. These are all state and local community programs that go out into the communities. Not only do they help homeless people with their mental health problems, but they help them locate um, and get a apartment and find a job. And they have discovered, after some of these programs, like the one in North Carolina and the one in Massachusetts, have been, and I think there's another one in Minnesota as well. These programs have been in existence for a period of in excess of 6 years. And they are demonstrating that when homeless people get in these programs, they have a higher rate of solidarity in their jobs. They have a higher rate of income performance and stability. And the program in Florida was started by a local county judge, helped them with their mental health problems, and when it was combined with the mental health industry and local law enforcement, and they got them off the streets, got them into an apartment, got them into a job, they were no longer homeless, helped them with their mental health problems, and they were no longer a criminal element. So all of these programs need to be focused on, but it can't be focused on a one-size-fits-all from the federal level. We've got to do block grants to the states and local communities from the federal government so that these can best be addressed in local communities, because the first responders on the ground in local communities knows what's best affecting them, not the federal government, and certainly not career politicians in Washington who really don't give a damn about local people. They're more concerned about keeping their jobs and doing their jobs. So we're proposing block grants from the federal government to local and state to state agencies to deal with homeless problem, to deal with mental health, and to deal with drug rehabilitation.
So definitely a need for people to get out there and get involved in the entire process, both politically here and also on a civics kind of a level there. What would you say would be the first thing that people could do to get involved with your entire movement and campaign?
Well, the first thing they could do is go to our website at tomufert.org, where they can see all of our proposals. It's an up-to-date website. It's very user-friendly. There is a place, if they choose so, to donate to our campaign. We're the only campaign that does not have a super PAC, does not accept PAC money, does not accept corporate money, and limits personal contributions to $100. We're the only campaign that has promised after the election any funds left over will be donated to feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, and taking care of veterans. And I've challenged every other campaign to do the same thing and have not had any takers yet. Not surprised. Also, on that website, they can see where they can go to a landing page for our 68-page, it's over 10,000 word political, you can call it a manifesto, you can call it a platform, whatever, but it's called America Now, and it details all of the things that we're proposing our campaign to do. Now, there have been some developments since then that are not in America Now, but they're also on the website. And what we really need now is, because we are a write-in campaign, is we need people to volunteer as electors in their state for our campaign. Most of the 38 states that require documentation for a write-in candidate require electors, and that's one elector from each congressional district in their states. So we need help with that. We need grassroots volunteer people who are going to get the word out and say, hey, this is a viable alternative to the partisanly controlled, gridlocked, dysfunctional system that we've got now. Americans need to realize that the two parties that our country has always believed in and has always had faith in, they're not bad parties. It's just they are subject to a corrupt campaign financing system that allows special interests to hedge bets on both sides. And that takes the American people and their democracy out of um, the ball game. So we're proposing a fresh start. We start all over with a new election, and the American people have that opportunity. But we need volunteers, and we need people to jump on the bandwagon and get the word out. So that's what we're hoping they'll do. We also have a Facebook page, Tom Ufert for President 2016. We're also on Twitter at TOMU, Tomu. We do 2 Google Town Halls a month here on Google. And basically, all you have to do is type in my name or type in No2 2016, and you will find us. We have our own channels on YouTube with all of our videos. And all they have to do is just, I'm asking people to listen to what we're saying and give it the opportunity to be heard. If you don't believe we're doing the right thing, fine, vote for somebody else. But give us the opportunity to be heard and spread the word. That's what I'm asking.
Very good. So we're looking through the No To campaign here, or the none of the above, or UBOV here for Tom Ufert. Going for president, definitely looking at tomufert.org as the website to be able to go and find out all the information on, and highly encourage people to go there and learn more, get educated, and get involved. Tom, thank you very much for this chance to be able to talk to you and be able to learn a little bit more about what's going on with your campaign and how we can help.
Kevin, thank you for monitoring today. I appreciate it. I appreciate the questions for everybody out there. And please, everybody, give us the opportunity just to be heard. Go check us out and see if this makes sense to you. And I think once you've heard what we have to say, you'll say that this is worth definitely looking at and giving the opportunity for a viable alternative. So thank you very much. God bless you all, and God bless the United States. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Tom.
Think about it. When the decisions of one man can affect the future of your family for generations to come, what kind of a man do you want making those decisions? Think about it. Who is the one man who has the experience and the qualifications to lead America in these troubled, dangerous times?